Nobody's better than me, and I'll have 100 wives. I'm an NBA level basketball player. It's just straight up the truth. I might go find the nearest bridge or something. I think that's one of the parts why I really don't have even a vague answer.
We'd hop the fence and stuff like that. It was super fun.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. That house was the best.
How much did you forget? Because I remember...
Like almost all of it.
Almost all of it?
I forgot we even lived in that house. I'm not going to lie to you.
What? I remember... Because at one point you did come over and sleep over with us. And I remember being really worried about it. For some reason. My mom was very against it. You're probably like 6 years old. But to us, you were a big kid like us. So...
Oh yeah, like you guys were in like middle school or something, right? And then I was still like literally like a toddler, like in elementary.
I think we moved out of there going into 7th grade. So up to 6th grade, yeah. So Caleb would have been elementary school all the way through. So you would have been...
Oh yeah, Caleb was like actually upset because we moved when he was in 5th grade, and
yeah, down to Lewiston.
In Coeur d'Alene, you become a middle schooler when you're in 6th grade, but in Lewiston you become a middle schooler when you're in 7th grade. So he was like, now I'm in 6th grade and I'm still in elementary school. He was pissed about that.
Demoted.
Yeah.
The difference though between a 6th grader and a 7th grader, insane. Even at Post Falls Middle School.
So actually
they segregate the 7th and 8th graders from the 6th graders.
At the time, it was 6th graders were still elementary schoolers, and then they actually swapped it over, and so now like the middle schools have like double the amount of kids because they just put the 6th graders in there with them. Because most of the time when you have like 7th graders is they start to like spread out amongst the middle schools, but when there's still 6th graders, I don't know why, but they all congregate to like the same middle school. So it's kind of, I guess it's because it was like a new change, so it wasn't like it was very recent. But anyway,
like when you were there, very recent, or like just now?
Like just now, because I wasn't like that when I was in middle school.
How was the middle school? Because I remember at least the old high school, Caleb was talking about how I don't know what you call those ceiling pieces, the white ones with like the black dots in them. They were literally like there's asbestos, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, so we found out about that because kids were throwing pencils up at the ceiling, and they were getting like pencil stickers.
Yeah.
And then people were making a big deal out of it because in like one class, like the teacher looked up and there was like 50 pencils in the ceiling.
That's awesome.
And then they were like, "You're gonna like get dust everywhere," and then they're like, "Yeah, don't do that. It's poisonous. Like you're gonna get like lung cancer."
Oh gosh.
So, and then people were making like these little paper airplanes, but they were making them out of like the note cards, so they were like super sharp.
Yeah.
And they were sticking those into the ceiling too. Yeah. I wasn't really there for that, so glad I wasn't in all of that lung cancer.
Yeah, you dropped out, right? What year did you?
No, I was just in high school. When I was in 9th grade, there was the new high school. I never went to the old high school.
Okay.
So I don't know what that was like.
So, but how has your
like
school career been? Because every time I talk to you, you're doing something different.
Oh yeah, it's been a ride. So, just about to graduate. Like I'm like right on the edge here, but
yeah, dude, nice.
I have 4 credits left. 4 credits left, and that's because I took 2 years off, and I had to transfer over to Tammany, which requires less credits for graduation. So I only need the 2 years.
What is that? Another high school?
Is
it a program?
Yeah. It's like a high school. I don't even know if they have like a physical location. I think they do, but it's like another high school, and they require less credits.
Yeah, cool.
But I only need the 2 years. Some that I made up with online school, or as much as I could have made up with online school, and then the 4 classes that I'm doing for summer school. Now that's great, except summer school starts at 7:30 in the morning, which is like reasonable for school, and it ends at 4. Which is part of the reason why I got here so late.
Yeah. Why? Like what? So you took 2 years off then? What? Why?
I was working.
Was that when you went over to Maine?
So, okay, I didn't actually take 2 years off. but I just didn't have 2 years of like school credits. I was up in Maine for more like a year and a half, but I don't know why no adults told me about this. Nobody stopped me, but I was this little like sophomore. And
Yeah.
so like I wasn't thinking, and I left in the middle of my sophomore year. And so I didn't get any of my sophomore credits. If I just finished out the semester, it would have been A-okay.
For sure.
But I didn't.
Well,
So
how far into the semester were you?
I was really close to the end, actually.
Dang. Dude.
I was like
Dang.
probably like 3/4 of the way through the semester.
Wild.
But I was like, I'm going up to Maine. I'm going to make money. I'm going to go work with my brother.
You did make money.
I did make money, and I'm still riding high off those savings.
Heck to the
The second those savings run out, I might go find the nearest bridge or something.
Ooh.
But yeah, for now, we're high on life, you know what I mean?
What bridge?
I don't know. It'd have to be like one that goes into water, you know, just so like if I somehow survive, I'll just like go for a swim or something. Make it sound like it was intentional, you know?
Or you just be like a paraplegic. Do you think you'd get the Neurolink?
Oh.
Because the first guy's name's Nolan something. I've been watching a lot of videos of interviews with him.
It really depends on what
recently,
the Neuralink is. If it's like a surgery, no way. If it's like
it's a surgery.
Well, like, will it be in 20 years? You know?
It already is. There's a guy who has it now.
He has the Neuralink?
Yeah, he's a paraplegic in some sort of accident by jumping into water. And
it's crazy. What can it do?
Elon finally put it into him. Yeah, well, so it's super early. It's the first human trial. It's super early. Based off of what I've heard him talk about, he's able to play games with it, but in a very rudimentary way. Mm-hmm. He's able to move a cursor around on a computer and click and stuff like that, all with thought. The way he was describing it recently, at least on the Joe Rogan podcast, was how basically, since he's a paraplegic, he can't actually move his arms, but he would make the sensation, you know, he would move his hand in his mind, right? And then therefore
cool,
the cursor would move where he'd want it to go, I guess. Somehow you connect the movement of the cursor to the same electricity charge in your brain controlling your limbs.
That's pretty cool, honestly.
Super cool
technology, but
like right now, I know at least Christians and stuff like that are super scared of it, which I think is rightfully so personally. But at this current state, there is no danger to it, if that makes sense.
No mind
like
altering.
The limitations of it are very, very slim, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was like one of those things in like 20 years where they like, you know, put like a little helmet on your head, and then it's or like maybe like a little piece on your head or something like that, and then it like has all the functions, I think I would get it, you know. No like permanent I need to be able to like just like remove it, like if I'm gonna do something like that, but like right off the bat, no way, you know.
Did you ever? Okay, what about for $1 million?
Oh, if I'm getting paid $1 million?
Yeah.
Is that how much a paraplegic? That how do you pronounce that?
I don't know what he got. If anything, he just got a promise that it might help. It also might go horribly wrong.
For a lot of money, I might do it. Yeah. And like a guarantee that I'm gonna be A-okay, you know. At least like not gonna be paralyzed, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not paralyzed right now, so it's maybe if I was already paralyzed and then they promised me a lot of money, then I would probably do it.
Do you think you would go to Mars then if Elon came up to you? So Elon's got a few projects going on. If he went up to you and invited you onto the first Mars mission, do you think you'd take it?
Yeah.
Really?
I've always wanted to go
How
to
would you
space.
survive up there?
I've always wanted to go to space.
Well, it's not just going to space. It's never coming back.
That's okay. I'll find a way.
You probably would too.
I don't know. If he had like a training program and he had like this whole plan thought up for me to like get me up there.
Yeah.
100%.
So
you and then if it was like, hey, we're going to start a colony up on Mars, 1,000%.
You would leave forever? Everybody behind?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think you'd have a problem with that?
No. If I get to go to Mars, no way.
Have you ever been alone for an extended period of time?
I think the longest I've ever just been like by myself with nobody else. Like not really, not an extended period of time. No,
Have you
not
seen
what you
those?
could consider extended.
I've watched certain shows like Alone. I think that's what it's called. Literally called Alone, where they put people in the wilderness and their whole job is to like film themselves, right? They give them cameras, and the goal is just to be the last one remaining out there.
Yeah.
And most of them leave because they miss their family so much, which I think would definitely be.
Most of them have wives and kids though. Like, not me.
That's true. I guess for a single guy, it's
They gotta.
Are you, dude?
They
what's
have to
the lady
choose
situation like?
Oh, not looking good, man.
Same here.
Yeah. I don't really have anybody that I've even met, like not just like nobody I'm talking to, but like nobody I've even seen that I've like had my eye on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just
Not looking good.
yeah.
That's why Mars is looking pretty attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. Get your name out there somehow.
I don't know. Okay,
All the ladies will be
a
sending
Mars
letters to
mission
you
by
through mail.
myself.
The UPS will be delivering to Martian Avenue 1.
Always count on the UPS.
So you're back to your school stuff and things. So you were gone for 2 years.
Yeah.
What did you do in Maine?
So mostly grunt work, honestly. I mean, I was like 16 at the time, so not like I could have done a whole lot. I was just mostly doing stuff with my brother to install solar panels, and we had these big grids that we were putting up, and we were doing them for like this big company. It's kind of funny because in environmental science, my teacher was like, any construction progress on or projects on wetland are illegal and against the EPA regulations. You cannot do that. And so I asked him, like, but we were working on wetlands like almost every day when we were up in Maine. So like, what's the deal with that? And then he goes, I don't know, like money, I guess. He basically told me that these rich companies were just paying off the government to build on wetlands.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because we weren't thinking about it when we were working out there, and we were driving heavy machinery, tearing up the wetlands.
Wild.
Yeah.
So just no regard for anything.
None of the ecosystem stuff. I mean, it's not like we were like ruining the land. It's just you're not supposed to build on wetlands because
I mean,
it's protected. So, but we didn't.
I mean, you were getting paid, so.
Yeah, I was getting paid, and also not my fault. I was 16, so.
I've heard a few fun stories, but I know you guys had a long time up there to have all sorts of crazy stuff happen. I know you guys almost died once. I don't know if it was you or Damon who almost got hit in the head by a giant bar beam thing.
Both of us.
Both of you? How'd that go?
So it only happened like once, and it was because so these big torque tubes, they're heavy, but they're not like heavy. So if you had one person on each side, you could lift them and carry them.
Sure.
So what we were doing is we would pick them up on these forks and then bring them around, and then we would grab them up off the forks and then set them down where they need to go on the ground so that we can install them later on top of, whatever A-frame or pile or whatever, so that they can, sit for the whole structure. But when we were lifting them up for these things, Damon was on the other end and I was kind of like in the middle because I mean, you can lift it with two people, but we had three just because we were just trying to be like efficient. Mm-hmm. And like nobody was like in sync. So, one guy was like pulling, he thought that we were ready and we weren't.
Professionals.
Well, I don't know. We were working all day. Like,
yeah,
it was getting near the end of the day and it was just, we were pretty tired. So, pulling on it, and then it was coming off the forks, and it basically fell down, and kind of like glanced off my head, and then it like hit Damon's back, like I said, they're not like crazy heavy. Like if they fall on you, you're not going to get terribly hurt, but they hurt because they are big metal beams. So he had a big bruise on his back. I had a little goose bump on my head. But we didn't really have any like crazy serious accidents.
Were you wearing a hard hat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's just when you're wearing a hard hat, it's meant to like soften the blow and like break like a helmet would.
Yeah.
So if it like just like glances off your head, it's just gonna like bump your head like any other impact would.
Yeah.
It's only if it like hits your head really hard.
That it'll take the impact.
Yeah, so like if something's like actually falling, it's gonna like break your skull open.
Oh gosh. Okay.
But this was just like it was like literally like right above my head, and then it just like came down and like, you know. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like crazy, and it didn't really hurt too bad. And I was, but yeah, no crazy accidents, nothing like super insane. We had a bunch of like crazy stories, but none of them really involving a whole lot of bodily injury. We had a lot of a lot of stories with heavy machinery, and I hesitate to talk about it.
No, please do.
We had one of our jobs, like basically one of our first jobs, is out here in the winter, and I don't know how we decided it was a good idea to go driving around on this ice. So it was more wetlands, but it was like I don't know how to describe it. It was like this little bowl kind of area. So in the wintertime, the water will build up and then it'll create literally just like an ice bed. No ground, no nothing. It's just ice.
Just a big slippery pond.
Yeah, and sometimes it won't snow for days, and the snow will clear away from the wind, and so it's just bare ice, and there's not much to get traction on. So we were driving this big telehandler, and it's basically like it's got this big boom on it, forks at the end. It's got these wheels that kind of turn in this interlocking fashion. Super neat machine. And you kind of need it to get in between all the posts in the ground. And so whoever was driving at the time, he was driving like in between the posts. And I guess it was like downhill or something.
Yeah.
But he was literally like on the ice. He brakes and he's like talking to someone outside the car, trying to get like a confirmation about what he's doing. And when he goes to start driving, he's like picking stuff up, and then he's like sliding closer to one post. And I'm like watching it happen, and I'm like, Zach, you need to get like away from that post. And then so he's sliding close to the post, and then eventually he's just touching the post. Like he's literally just against it.
Post being one of the solar panels?
No. So we had these big I-beams, which are just like, it's got like an I shape to it, and it's these big steel beams, and you basically would just drive them into the ground, and they would just be sticking out, right, like this.
What for?
What you do then is you would stick these brackets on top, and screw them in with bolts, and then you would put the torque tubes on top, and these torque tubes would then take rails, which kind of go like this. So if you would imagine, here's your beam, here's your torque tube, here's your rail, and the rail is
like
what
a big cross.
The rail is what controls the panels, and so the panels would then go on top of the rails. So it would kind of look like this.
That is so confusing.
Anyway, yeah, you'd have to see it in person, but
Okay.
But anyway, just the post sticking out of the ground, and he was like right here, just against it. And he was trying to move back and forth, and the post was like grabbing onto like the foot step up, and heavy machinery, big heavy machine, right? So it's got like a steel like step up. So this step up was grabbing onto the post, and on one of the eye like bends, and it was just twisting it like this. Every time he would drive, it would go.
Ooh. So just ruining it.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to like really bend it to ruin it. There was nothing wrong with it once we got away, but it was just like bending it, and then we had to like call our brother Adam, who's kind of the expert, and then he got the vehicle out.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one example, though. Another example is when we were driving after a big snowstorm. What happened was the underground crew came in and they dug a hole to put wires in the ground.
Yeah.
And so big snowstorm comes in, feet of snow on the ground. Nobody wants to work outside. It totally sucks. So we just have the heavy machinery going for the end of the day. It's like nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach again. It's not his fault though, because he was the best at driving the heavy machinery, the most experienced, and so he was just in it the most often. That's why he had the most accidents. He just hits the hole, and it's like this 7-foot deep hole, and he tries to get out, and he goes, and he almost gets out, and then his back tire goes all the way into the hole, and his telehandler's just like this.
Whoa.
And then he has this big bank of dirt on the other side, so he's got his wheel down on the ground and this big bank of dirt, so he can't just like spin around and get out. He's only got really one area that he can really get out, so we spent hours trying to get that telehandler out. Like, that was kind of a nightmare. I think
Did you
our
have to dig out the hole that it was stuck in?
No, we had a skid steer, which is kind of like a forklift, but with like tracks, and it's
awesome.
a little bit different.
Yeah.
A little bit different, and it has and it's got this like arm, and stuck the forks underneath, tried to lift it out, but it was just so awkward, especially because of that bank of dirt. Like, if you could come in from the side where it's like this, and then like lift down from this, get it out.
Yeah.
No, we could not do that, because you'd have to come in from the back and then like lift like this. It was a nightmare.
Did you not have another big machine that could just pull it out?
No, we didn't need any other big machine. The telehandler was the biggest thing we had. We just needed machine to lift up material and get it to its spot.
Yeah.
So that we could then put stuff in by hand. Yeah. Kind of a late night.
I'm sure it was.
Let me think of maybe a few other examples where we had like machinery. We got stuck in the mud so many times.
Just the wetlands. Just ruining the wetlands that are supposedly protected.
So many times. So many times we got stuck in the mud. It was I'm
gonna segue this into another thing. So I remember a lot of your siblings came over because, Caleb was my roommate, and we all had a fun night, and it kind of divulged into speaking spiritually and asking all sorts of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I really got to talk to you at all. I'm just wondering what you believe, if anything at all.
So yeah, that was kind of a night. Back then I was kind of talking with some other people about just like things that weren't like necessarily into the whole spiritual aspect.
Sure.
And then we had another one of those where I kind of delved deeper. I'm a little split, honestly.
Yeah, fair
I'm
enough.
definitely into spiritualism and like the idea like there's got to be something,
Sure.
but it's just like everybody's telling me so many different things from so many different directions, and then like I've been raised on Christianity, and I just think I've needed some time to just like get my own opinion without other people telling me like
Oh, baller, dude.
like
Yeah.
what is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like called an agnostic, I think, where like you believe but you don't know what you believe in.
Something like that.
I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but I've never been one into like the technical terms of religion and spirituality, and that's why I don't
Yeah.
really like people who go like, "Oh, you're a Christian? Like, what branch are you in? Like, what like what group are you? Like, are you
What denomination?
yeah, what denomination? Like, are you Baptist? Are you Anglo? Like, I don't know. It's like I don't know. I don't even know what half of them are. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I just don't like putting my faith into a group of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess it is like an easy way to classify like, hey, this is what I believe in, but I just don't think like your faith can be so easily defined.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, I have people telling me like, well, you should believe in this and you should believe in that and you should believe in, you know, whatever. And then I have like, you know, and maybe it would be easy if it was just like, you should believe in Christianity or you shouldn't believe in Christianity. But like, I have people telling me like, well, you should believe in this Christianity or you should believe in this Christianity. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it's really like confusing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It is confusing.
And I just don't want to be confused about something like that. So I don't want to go around saying like I'm this
Mm-hmm.
when I just don't know for sure, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have like,
Nice, dude.
I have like I guess like a spiritual like inclination and a little bit of faith, but I just don't have like, I can't tell you definitively.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I kind of sit right now. And my family will ask me all the time because like they all go to church and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, how you doing? Like with your, you know, spiritual wise. And I'm like, great, great. Cause I don't want to tell them that like, I don't
Yeah.
believe in the exact same thing that you believe in, you know, especially when people go church hopping. I get it. Like if there's people that you don't like at a specific church, but when you just can't stick to a church, or when you say like, I don't really like this church or I don't really like this pastor, like I don't really believe his message or anything like that. I didn't really like, you know, how they were putting that out there. To me, it's just kind of, it's a little bit much to like,
It is a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot to think about. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, dude, fair enough. That seems very mature of you, at least to be aware of that and then just accept it. I know for me, up until last year, I always just said I was Christian because all of my family is, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think I actually truly believed in God necessarily. It was more so I just, you know, it was way easier just to say I was.
Mhm.
You know, I never shut the door out. Like you, I think I had a spiritual inclination, or at least it made more sense to me that there would be something. I just didn't know what. Yeah, I super get that. It's super cool. So like are you actively trying to search those answers, I guess, if you will? Do you?
A lot of philosophy where I kind of like think about like the implications of what certain things mean in the Bible and in like other religions and stuff like that. But I don't like talk to other people very often just because I haven't really gotten to that stage where I like try to outsource for answers.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just like me thinking to myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's where it has to start. Yeah.
You know, I guess that's kind of where you want it to be, you know, what you think is right, but
That's always what it is. Yeah. Like, well, what do you think about truth? Do you think there's what like define truth? I guess. What is truth to you?
truth to me is like what is, I guess. Like if you can see something that exists, like that's
Mm-hmm.
truth. Like even if it's like something that's ugly or even if it's something that's like not pleasant, like it's still truth, you know?
Mm.
And it can be like, I guess, that can be a reason why a lot of people don't like to look at the truth is because most of the time it's not something that's pretty.
Yeah, that's where the phrase like "truth hurts" kind of comes from.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about it, like, like we all have our like own faults and stuff like that, but like we just are, you know what I mean? There's no other way to put it other than we are. Like even a lie is kind of a truth, even if it's deceitful. It's like it just is what it is.
What do you mean?
So a truth is something that like when you know all about something,
Yeah.
but sometimes you can see something that's whole, but
Mm.
only see a part of it from a certain perspective.
Yeah.
So like if I tell you a lie, it contains like the whole truth, but you're only hearing a part of it because your understanding is limited,
Yeah.
and so therefore you hear a lie, and you might believe that lie, right, to be the whole truth. So to me, truth is just like
Your beliefs.
is when um, it's transparent, basically. Like
Mm.
I don't want to believe in something that's not transparent, and I don't want to believe in something that's not like completely forthcoming in what it is, you
Mm.
know? So like
Yeah.
if something's like hiding, like, oh, but there was this little like detail that we didn't tell you about, you know, in this religion or like in our doctrine, then it's
Mm-hmm.
like I can't believe in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got to be 100% all the way.
Needs to be trustworthy.
I need to be able to see it from one perspective and see all of it, basically.
Whoa.
Um,
Yeah.
so like no matter how I look at it,
So what would be that perspective, do you
um,
think?
to me, my personal perspective is somebody who grew up on Christianity, and doesn't really like fully understand how religion impacts me after I die. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because you know people will talk about like, oh, you go to heaven or you go to hell or you know whatever, um, but it's not like somebody showed me like this is where you're going or like this is what it's gonna be like. It's just like vague, like, oh, it's gonna suck when you die if you're not a Christian, or it's gonna be great when you die if you're not a Christian, or if you are a
That
Christian.
is vague. Yeah.
So I want to believe in something like um like a greater being, and I want to believe in God. It's just like I need to be able to see it like no matter what. Like I need to be like basically a toddler and be able to understand everything about the religion. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like no matter my intellect, no matter how much knowledge I have about the religion,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how much people try to persuade me about the religion or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like no matter what the circumstances are, I should be able to see everything that there is about it and then understand that it's 100% the truth and understand that my faith is 100% real. So for some people, I think they've actually found that. Um, you know, some people talk so vehemently about their faith, and some people
Yeah.
talk so vehemently about like I believe in this, you know, and I'll never stop believing in that, you know, and they make it every part of their life.
Yeah.
And I think that they've seen it, but I just haven't seen it yet, and it's just a little bit vague.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Wild, dude. Like, so wild. Do you think there are answers out there?
hmm yeah, but um, it's like how if you see something off in the distance,
Yeah.
you know, even if it's something that's um, not inherently deceptive because it's far off, um, and you're not close enough to actually see it, it's kind of blurry, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
shrouded by other factors. And I guess that's probably the reason why a lot of people don't find their faith, is because it's shrouded by other factors. So like
Yeah.
even if you see something that's transparent,
Our whole
um,
perception on the world is based off of our experiences.
yeah, so
And
even if
then,
you see
yeah.
something that's totally transparent, maybe it's muddied by
Mm.
something
Yeah,
else.
dude. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I know for me, like me in particular, I am a Christian, right? I do believe in Christ. Personally, like using that example, I think for me it was always my dad. I don't know how much you know about my dad. Do you know much? I know you've definitely met him before, but that doesn't mean you remember him.
I don't remember him at all.
Yeah, he was
I know you don't like him.
I like him. I love him, in fact.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. He's forgiven for sure. He's yeah. Yeah. Called him up on Father's Day for the first time in many, many years. It was good. It was good. But anyways, so not to bash on him, I don't want to insult him in any way, but he was a pastor, and you know, at home he wasn't exactly a righteous man. He was he had narcissistic and manipulative tendencies, and kind of, you know, and because he was a pastor, he claimed to represent Christ. Therefore, then my idea of Christ was somebody who I didn't want to be around. You know, when my dad went into the room, I'd feel uncomfortable. You know, I didn't want to be there. It was like I feared when he would come home from work, kind of thing. It wasn't a healthy example of who Christ is and or his love, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I was looking at something that I now believe to be transparent, but with that mud. So I feel that, dude. It's a weird place to be in, because then that put me in that for the next forever, right? Yeah, me personally, I do believe now, though, I have found that thing. Yeah. Like, have you ever considered any other religion than Christianity, outside of, you know,
I mean,
what your family's believed in?
I've looked at them, and I even have had people tell me and like try to explain them to me, and I've even had people who don't really believe in a religion, but they just believe in like just whatever the heck they believe in. Like one example is people who like are like, oh yeah, I believe in ghosts and, you know, like rituals and spirits and like channeling your inner energies and stuff like that. And I've had a lot of people tell me about like stuff like that, and like they've even tried to like account their own experiences, but nearly everybody who's ever been part of any kind of religion or part of any kind of doctrine has been like, well, here's my experiences. You know? And so
that's really
at this point I can never really trust other people's experiences.
That's true.
Because everybody has them and everybody's been telling me about them. So
that's true, and they tell you different things. Yeah, that's extremely confusing. That for sure is. That's all right. Yeah, like when it comes to, I don't know, how do you, I guess then, because I know growing up, your family was raised, I don't know if you were raised Mormon or not, but I know your father was, at least. I don't know what his current stance is.
So my family used to be Mormon and then converted to Christianity. I don't know when that was, but it was about the time that I was growing up. Not all of us are Christians anymore. Not my whole family. But I grew up in a polygamist family, which is against God's word, and so it's kind of a whole like kind of twisted scenario where it's like I'm being raised on Christian ideals in a non-Christian setting. I guess.
Here, dude. Just in a different way.
I mean, I love everybody in my family. They're all such amazing people.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I wouldn't trade them for the world, but religiously, not the clearest outlook. And then my mother, she's the most devout Christian I know. And she has been raising me on Christian ideals as well. So it's just been kind of like a lot, you know?
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny to think about.
Cool. I definitely just want to encourage you to keep going down that path of at least just trying to figure it out for yourself. Because you should never put your faith in what somebody else believes. You should always want to, you know, strive to believe it in yourself for your own reasons. I think that's at least how you're going to have it the most confident faith with whatever you come up with, right? When it comes to truth, I do believe there's one truth, and I think right now with my current understanding I know what it is, but it's you know, it took a long time to get here. So, and who knows, maybe somebody 20 years from now will come and be like, here's dead evidence that you're wrong. Who knows, dude? But you know, like my older brothers, they were young men by the time my father was out of the picture. They were 18, 19, something like that. So it's kind of, they grew up their entire childhood, their developmental years with him as an influence, right? And so after he was out of the picture, obviously they knew that he's caused damage in that way, I guess. Especially they had many ideas of how to either treat women, or they're just views of the world, basically what they were led to believe is truth, right? Because how do you even know what truth is? Like you're saying, there's so many different people who will tell you what they think is truth. It is really confusing. My older brothers then went into an extensive amount of years trying to pick up the father figure for Jeremiah and I, since we were just turning 13 kind of thing. And they tried out everything from drugs to different ideologies. They switched political parties multiple times. They were just trying everything out, right? Because they were just searching for truth and purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is, purpose is probably one of the biggest things that at least made me want to strive for answers. Because not having a purpose definitely drove me nuts. You know, at least I would try and find it in things that never felt like they were fulfilling. So which just made it even more confusing, because other people tell me that that's good. But so my brothers, you know, they finally they just went through this huge long period of trial and error, if you will, and they kind of brought my brother and I along with them. And so it's just, if you're like, even if you're in that place going through all of those things, I encourage you to try everything and just see what you know, heed people's voices, and just from there figure it out. Just gotta figure it out, dude. It's I mean, if you want to. If you don't want to, what do you think the alternative is? Like, if you're not seeking answers, what are you doing?
Probably flip-flopping between what you already know, honestly. That's what I've experienced is you'll like have like, you know, a couple options that seem equally good, and then you'll just go back between them.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
like,
okay.
Oh, I like Christianity. Oh, I don't like it anymore. Oh, I like Christianity. I don't like it anymore. You know?
Yeah.
There's so many people like that.
So what do you think then ultimately brings like a successful life, quote unquote, for you? Like, even with where you're currently at?
For me, a successful life is probably when everybody around me is happy, because I myself can go from being incredibly not good and not doing okay to incredibly good and doing very, very great.
Nice.
And like I can just flip flop right away. But a lot of people I know aren't like they don't have that capacity to just like bounce back from whatever the heck, you know, has got them down, because it's just the way they are. Like for me, if something is getting me down, it's because it's currently getting me down. I don't usually like think back on like what happened in the past that gets me down, but like it's usually like I usually get more anxiety from the future, and like more like this is gonna happen, and now I'm like getting jittery about it, you know. I don't really think about the past usually, and I guess that's not really always the most constructive thing, but like just for me, if the people around me can be super happy, like especially like if my children, however many far years off in the future, if they can be happy too, like for me that's a pretty successful life, because I don't know, like I guess one day, even if I can't find the truth, somebody else will. It'll probably be one of my kids or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Cool, dude. Yeah.
So, other than that, no, I don't really know. I mean, I guess going back to like how we grew up, I guess how I raised my kids, isn't really like, doesn't really need anything specific, because I grew up again in a polygamous family, 30 plus siblings probably in the future. I remember I was stuck on the number 24 siblings when I was younger. I don't know why that number just stuck in my head. 3 moms, 1 dad. But to me, having 1 wife and 1 happy family is like the core of my values. So like it didn't matter how I grew up or like the environment that I grew up in. I just needed an example to show me like what was and what the result of it was. So I guess like being honest with your kids is probably like the biggest part.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely, dude.
And being honest with people around you. is probably the biggest part. I can probably say I've had a successful life if I can just be honest 100% of the time and never tell a lie and never be deceitful in any way and be proud of like what I'm saying and what I'm putting out.
That is an awesome answer, dude. All right. We're going to take a break though, real quick.
It's hot in here.
It is hot in here. All right. We'll be back. So yeah, I guess you went into what you would think would be successful in life. So being honest all the time. And then you kind of dabbled with how you would want to raise kids. That's always been such a big theme in my own life, especially because when I was raised, my father isn't exactly how I would want to be a father.
Mm-hmm. It gives you an example of what not to be.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So just trying to figure that out along with,
it's kind of what polygamy
being aware
was for me.
of it. Yeah. How does that? What do you think about polygamy?
So,
because even if you were all for it, then I'd want to hear why. Yeah.
Polygamy is, in my opinion, similar to any other sin where you are not faithful to the people around you, basically. Maybe if you don't honor the people around you, or if you're not loving enough to the people around you, or if you're hateful to people around you, it's basically the same thing to me. All of which can be forgiven, and I don't like my parents, they made the conscious decision to go into that polygamous relationship, so it's not like it's my business.
Right. No judgment needs to be casted, but
yeah, so I do not judge my parents at all, even if I might disapprove, and my mom definitely disapproved, which is why she left my dad.
And that all happened recently, right?
Mm-hmm. And we're still keeping touch, on a touch basis, where we're still in contact. It's
he's still your dad, and you grew up with those.
He doesn't come over to our place anymore. Even if he'll invite us out to dinners occasionally, but man, he's got a lot of kids to take care of.
Yeah.
And Gwen, my aunt and second mother, she just barely had another baby.
Mm-hmm.
Little Avalon. She's, let me think. So she just had Avalon, and then before that, she got pregnant with, with Evie, and then Julianne. I think that's the order, and then, but Gwen's been having a lot of kids recently, so he's still taking care of the babies kind of dad.
Yeah.
And then he's also got a bunch of older kids that are moving out, and then a bunch of older kids that have families, and so it's just a lot for him to keep in touch with everybody. So only occasionally will he stop by and say hello. Not that I blame him for it. If I wanted to get in touch with my dad, or if I needed my dad for anything, I know he'd be there for me in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that he can't make that commitment himself without giving up a lot of his already scarce time.
Yeah.
So the reason why I really am against polygamy is because I kind of believe in one person for life. To me, the reason why a lot of people get in relationships where they break it off, or relationships that aren't good for them, is because they're using that relationship as a means to cope with something usually, or they're using that relationships for something other than just purely loving each other.
Other than a commitment, it's more of a
lot of people will use relationships as an excuse to fulfill something else in their life. And if a relationship isn't built off of love, it can still go through marriage, it can still go through all of your life, and it was never based off of love, it was never based off of you two being there for each other. But rather it was just based off of fulfilling some kind of condition. A lot of young people will start dating, and the only reason they start dating is because they want to be socially inclined, and they want to be somebody who's been in it, somebody who isn't just like a virgin. People get made fun of for being virgins,
It's true.
To me, virginity is like a plus one, heck yeah, it
should be. Yeah.
And to me, I don't really care about those social pressures as much. um, because most of my family hasn't cared about those social pressures as much. And maybe the perk of having 20 something siblings is that a lot of them become your friends. You
Yeah,
know, they're
very
not people,
close knit even.
you know, because like you fight with a lot of your siblings when you're living with them all the time and they become like super close to you and they're like people that you've lived your whole life with. But a lot of my siblings have lived in other houses, but we're still family. So we're like, we're like friend siblings where
Yeah,
we still have enough distance where we can like, um, where we can kind of be like buddies without being like super in the know about each other's lives. It's like
sure. It's
I
just a
can
low
be,
maintenance relationship.
yeah, basically.
When you show up, you have that foundation set with each other, and it's just a fun time from there.
So yeah, it's really easy to just be with my family. So a lot of them have set like a precedent for how I view relationships, and so singular relationships to me is one where you give that person like pretty much all the commitment in your life, and it happens both ways. And to me, like if you going back to that kind of honesty thing, if
Mm.
you show 100% of yourself to your partner and they reject you for it, then that wasn't your partner. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like that's not the person that you were going to spend the rest of your life with. Um, and it definitely does take time because if you just show all of yourself to somebody and like, you know, let all your heart out, then they're not going to be ready for that. And so even if like they have time to process it um, and they have time to really think about it, it's like it just needs to be something that's natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can't happen with multiple people because then you have so many conflicting interests and you have so many people that are like pitted against each other, you know? So,
So you seem to be concerned about what, or love being genuine, legitimate. Like that's a very important thing. Like what is love then? How do you know if somebody really loves you when it comes to being in a relationship? Like let's say let's set up a scenario. You're with some chick. How do you know she loves you? Even if she
um,
says it.
usually through some kind of proof, but it's like a natural thing again. Um,
Proof like a contract.
no, like, proof like a, proof like if you tell her what you want most in that moment, and she supports it, then usually that's a pretty good indicator of the kind of person that they are. So like, and not just like, oh, I'm kind of hungry right now, so I want to go eat something, but like what do I want most in this moment right now? Like to me, I've been thinking about going on a trip to Upper Priest Lake.
Mm.
I know I talked to you about that a little bit.
Yeah, a camping trip.
Um,
I think Damon mentioned it.
I wanted to go swimming on Upper Priest Lake,
That'd be
and I wanted to
awesome.
go just like see the area because everybody tells me it's so
It is,
beautiful,
dude.
and
I love it
everybody
up
tells
there.
me like it's such a nice hike and you should go check it out. So
Mm-hmm.
if I could be anywhere, I would be there. And so if I could find somebody that would like instantly support me in that, even if it's detrimental to both of us, and then if they tell me like what they want most, and then I can support them fully, even if it's detrimental to both of
What
us.
if they're contradicting?
Um, Usually that's where compromise comes in, because a lot of people are afraid the other person won't compromise, and that's why they are afraid of going into that like discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So like let's say I wanted to go to Upper Priest Lake and I wanted to do it this next Saturday, and then she goes, well, no, I want to go to the Oregon coast and I want to do it this next Saturday because the weather's perfect. And I say, well, you know, like we can't do both, so how are we gonna get this to work out?
Yeah.
um, then usually you just weigh your options and you really like have a heart to heart where you tell each other like the full truth of everything. And some relationships can end off the smallest thing because when you're honest enough about it, you start to realize the other person's character and you realize that they don't truly love you, or they're not committed enough for that relationship. Because a lot of relationships are built on sacrifice. So if you have conflicting interests, then you might need to show that you're willing to have a little bit of sacrifice. And
Mm.
I think the reason why it ends so many relationships when people have little issues and little fights and little arguments is because they're not willing to be the first person to sacrifice. They're like, I want you to show me that you love before I'm willing to show that I love you. You know, like they want to be the one that's stable in the relationship, but sometimes showing your love means that you're okay with being the unstable part. You're okay with taking the brunt of that, maybe being in a dark spot where you don't know if they really love you, because then eventually, just through your experiences and just through your life, you're going to have another conflict. And you already proved that you love them and that you care for them more than anything. And then if they don't do the same for you, then that's it, you know?
So you think that actions then are what proves it, kind of thing? Or do you think, do you know love or do you feel it? Or can it be both?
It's both, I think. Love is like a really like natural, organic thing to me, because it's not something that you can really like describe. Because, like, to me, I would help like a stranger out in the street, and that's like an act of love. But I don't love that person, so you can do acts of love for people you don't love, just because you have compassion for them, and just because you think that there's somebody that's, deserving of more, and, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of yourself to make sure that person has a better life. But you don't truly love them in that sense of like, there's somebody who's like precious to you or valuable to you. If I were to like describe the thought process behind it is like, if there's any motivation that I have, it should be fully supported by my partner, and it should go both ways. And then conflicts of interest should be merged, until we're basically like the same person. And that's kind of where I kind of pull from like the Bible, where it talks about you now become one. It's like, if you know each other enough, and if you're honest enough with each other, you will be pretty much the same person at some point. Like,
I think what
people just aren't honest in their relationships, and that's why they can't tell if they love each other or not.
I think what you're kind of saying with the whole, being able to spontaneously even just follow that person, it's like the idea. I think that
like, would you jump in front of a train for me? Like,
it's like laying down your life for them, being your own desires, your own passions, your own.
Yeah, like
anything,
you're giving all that up for that person, right?
But then it works when both of the people do that for each other.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not actually giving up your life, but it kind of is, Like, for me, I want to go up to Upper Priest Lake, but if I know that the Oregon trip matters more to our relationship, and if I know that, like maybe we've got family staying over there, and this is like more of like a one-time thing where it's kind of difficult, and we both equally want what we want, but I know that if I don't concede on this, that that's not like an act of actual compassion. Like, we should be, it should reach the point where your own interests don't matter to you anymore, because the other person's interests are more important to you. So it's like, I don't even care about Upper Priest Lake anymore. Screw that. My partner wants to go to Oregon. So let's just do that, because, seeing them happy is more important to me than seeing myself happy, because I'm going to be happy anyway,
So what if you don't feel like it one day, going along with their stuff?
I don't think that'll happen if you're actually honest with each other. And I mean like real honesty, not like people will tell the truth to each other, but they'll hide their emotions, and they'll hide their real thoughts, and they'll hide like all the little tiny things that they have inside of their head, like those things that you filter out before you talk to each other. If you just have no filter with your partner, and you are 100% honest with each other, and everything that you do with each other is like the very inner, like deepest part of who you are, I don't think that'll ever happen, because they just become a part of you, really. Like they become. I've had moments where I've been interacting with somebody that I know, like really really deeply, like I don't know, maybe a family member or somebody, and this has happened many times in my life where um, like I can just tell exactly how they're feeling, exactly what they need, exactly what they want, um, and they're like an extension of me. And if I don't fulfill that, uh, it's like how an absence of something creates a negative emotion.
Mm.
So when you're not fulfilling that obligation, I guess the guilt that comes behind it is a little bit overwhelming. Um, but anyway, for all the people that I've known in my life, the more you know somebody and the more like deeply connected you are to somebody, and the more honest you are with each other, um, the less you have the need to feel it, because there's no need to prove yourself in that relationship, because you
Yeah.
just know, you know.
Right. There's that. Like, do you think trust is important then? I guess that's part of the being honest, right?
Hmm. Trust is everything. It's all of it. It's like how I trust myself, right? Like,
Do you?
um for the most part, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if I'm walking, I'm not just like constantly scared that I'm gonna fall down.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Like
Fair.
if your relationship is a walk, you should not be constantly scared of falling down, right? Otherwise, you're not doing it right. Um, it should be something that's supernatural.
The
And
analogy.
if it doesn't work,
Yeah. There's an analogy, at least that my mom always describes for her relationship, and it was that she was walking on eggshells, and when one would break, then it would be it either result in a fight or something. I don't know.
you should be able to
right?
stomp all those
Shame,
eggshells,
guilt.
and then
Yeah, exactly.
you should be able to
Shouldn't be walking on
like
eggshells.
you should be able to feel every range of emotion with your partner, but because you know each other and because you're part of each other's lives, and because you're connected to each other in that way, everything will just even out again, and you'll just go on living your lives, you know. It's like how you never get tired of eating food, or you never get tired of doing certain things that you love, or
Have you ever had to end a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Um,
Like a friend, you talking a romantic, a friendship, even a brotherhood? Like what, I guess. What first, then why? And like how did that make you feel?
I've had to end a lot of friendships just because they're people that I realized I don't like very much. And people that I do like and people that I don't like are just people that I think are good for my life and people that I think are not good for my life.
Right.
Because I like people who aren't necessarily good people, but I think that with more interaction and with more time, I could probably they could probably become a very important core aspect of my life that's really important to me. So I could give you a recent example. There was a girl.
Hey.
So wasn't a really romantic relationship, at least not from my end.
Hard for me to believe.
So not from my end. I did not want to be around her. She just didn't seem like the person that I wanted in my life. I had known her since elementary school, but we hadn't been in touch. So it's not like we knew each other well.
Gotcha.
We were just acquaintances. And she was having some family issues at home, and I was willing to help her out. And she was like actively asking me for help. Like, she wanted me to be there for her to lean on, and I was okay with being like fulfilling that role.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started like coming on to me, like she was like making advances, I guess. And I didn't even know her very well.
And you were able to see that? I feel like most guys are oblivious.
She was making it pretty obvious.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially because she wasn't really like, and this isn't like some like tragic heroine who's like, like has an abusive family life and then oh, like it's not this beautiful story. Like she wasn't a very good person in my eyes, and I didn't really like being around her. Um, but I genuinely wanted things to work out for her, and I genuinely wanted I genuinely wanted to get her to know her, and I wanted things to work out. Um, but then she started like doing more outrageous things to get my attention because again, I was like probably the only person who was like, "Hey, I'll be there for you if you need me," you know?
Mm.
Because she got kicked out of her home. Like she literally had nowhere to stay, so she was just like looking for anywhere to like get some support from.
Yeah.
And so I was like one of her picks, I guess. And so, um, she started like really going crazy with like she was sending me like voice messages of like her moaning and stuff like that. Um,
Wild.
and she was like sending me text messages where she would like hint where she would like say like I stayed at my friend's house and there was a guy yeah, kind of crazy, not the kind of person that I wanted to be around. Like I could see it and I knew I didn't want to be around that. um but I wanted things to really work out, and I've known her from a long time ago, and I kind of knew what person she was like. uh it was kind of like it was the kind of thing where like I didn't really want it to just end like that, where it was like she was just like a toxic person that I could not be around. Like I could not reciprocate that relationship because I knew she would just keep coming back for more.
When you say work out, what do you mean?
I wanted her to be somebody who like eventually found a good spot in life and we could be friends, you
Gotcha.
know?
Because you cared for her.
Like just like I would care for anybody else who's going through a tough patch, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Like I wanted it to be like a hey, I've known you for a while. So therefore like if you ever need me, you know? Like but like she made it impossible. Um but I had no problems with just like cutting it off. Because it was
Well, it seemed at
definitely
least the
strange.
emotions were one way.
Yeah. I mean, if you would, I think there would be some people who would be tempted by that, because they're like genuinely like distraught and they're really looking for some kind of relationship.
Mm.
Um, no matter like any kind of emotional reciprocation, no matter what it is. Um, so a relationship like that, where you just know it's not good and you know it's not the kind that you can get into and you know um, it's not going to be what's going to make you happy. uh, it's the kind of thing that you just have to like nip it in the bud right away, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of how it goes for a lot of relationships,
Mm.
especially if you're super honest. You'll just find out like you're just the kind of person I can't be around. Like you can't be a part of my life, you know.
So, what do you think makes somebody bad then? I guess maybe just the opposite of being honest all the time.
Compatibility, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can be the worst person in the world and be deserving of forgiveness. It's just a matter of compatibility, I think.
Why do you believe that?
Because there are plenty of people that I don't like, but I think they're deserving of like as much as anybody else in life.
Even if they keep doing it?
I believe in second chances
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it's almost like too much, you know. Uh, if I had to put like a hard line limit on the um, on like what people are allowed to get away with before they're not deserving of my love anymore, it would be like if they make it clear that they don't have the capacity to return my feelings, you know? Like if I
So, like, you have a love of your life, right? And she fell off a bridge. Let's bring it back to the bridge on accident. This one's on accident. And she became a paraplegic.
mhm,
No longer able to reciprocate that love. What do you do?
stay with her because, well, not being able to reciprocate is more like actively not trying to or actively doing the opposite, you know? It's like people will hurt you just out of spite, uh, or for their own benefits, and there's no connection to you. they're stuck in their own little world, I guess. There's a lot of relationships like that where they're in a relationship with another person, but that whole relationship is self-revolving for both people, where there's no connection. I guess I might give an example. So, like, I once got asked, like, how much do you care that somebody's a virgin? And I thought about it a lot, and I realized I don't care very much, because there's always circumstances, there's always context, there's always, like,
Right.
there's always going to be stuff that's surrounding this particular person. So if I was with somebody and they made it clear to me, like, no, I'm not a virgin, but they still held all of the values that I believe in for a relationship, and they still hold that connection, like, with a relationship between me and that person, it doesn't matter to me, because to me, a lot of people can be in bad places and do a lot of bad things, and then, like, are they just deserving of death after that? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are deserving of much more forgiveness than, like, even some of the kindest people would give, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think that people who do a lot of terrible things are still alive. It's because they're deserving of forgiveness, as long as they make that effort. And some people never make the effort, and they die as horrible people, you know? It's just how it happens.
Can you define good? That's a hard one.
I think that's one of the parts where I really don't have even a vague answer, because defining
the word
good
in itself can be very vague. So I guess, like, to bring that down to a specific definition.
If you think of, like, being good as something that you do when you interact with other people, obviously being selfless is good. I think that's, like, my best definition for, like, a social interaction is selflessness. But in terms of, like, life and in general, I think that even though a lot of people talk about, like, you shouldn't care too much about yourself, you shouldn't have so much ego, you shouldn't place so much importance on yourself, you shouldn't lift yourself up by putting other people down, and in my opinion, good overall really just has to do with how much you're willing to take from other people. Because if you're not willing to take from other people at all, then I think that's probably the best person you could probably be. And that's, like, not even talking about self-sacrifice, right? Just not taking from other people. But I can't expect others to self-sacrifice for me. So, like, that's really going above and beyond.
What about, what if it doesn't involve other people? So it's just you and alone in a room.
I think,
like, is there still good and bad?
I think good and bad really has to do with the sanctity of things, I guess. It's another one of those things where, like, you really can't tell, similar to love, where it's like you can't just say, like, oh, you know, this person loves this person doesn't love this person, like, or, like, this is the percentage of love that you have, or this is how good you are. It's really not anything that's like logically defined, in my opinion, because there's many different ways to show, like, goodness. Like, brothers will fight with each other all the time, but if both brothers don't care, and they just enjoy being around each other, like, like, if you physically fight with your brother, like, wrestle around or whatever,
Sure,
and you're, like,
rough
causing
house.
each other minor pain, you know, or even sometimes major pain. Sometimes you just laugh it off and you say like, I don't care because I'm just happy to be here.
Maybe like the intent behind it.
Yeah. Well, if I had to place an exact like idea of what is good, I would have to say respect and sanctity. Just like recognizing what something is, and then acting on it properly. So if like I see like there's somebody in front of me who is worthy of respect, if I don't give them that respect, then that's like not a good thing, right? Or if there's somebody in front of me who is worthy of my love and I don't give them my love, then that's like not a good thing, right? Or if there's it's like, I guess it's kind of like an obligation almost. It's so if you're not, it's like how willing are you to conform to those obligations that the world has put on you?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one thing that I haven't really totally figured out myself. Especially because I know what I believe, but I can't really put it into words in terms of like how I interact with other people and stuff,
Do you want to know how to be able to put it in words?
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I think that's one of my biggest goals that I'm trying to strive for right now, and I hope this podcast helps it, is just to learn how to be able to articulate what I believe in a proper way.
100%.
Because I don't even know what I believe for a lot of things, right? In fact, I would argue even claiming that you know anything derives from pride in itself. What do you think about pride? Do you think that's ultimately bad, or do you think there's some good pride?
I don't think pride exists.
Oh,
I think that
hot take.
I think that it's either you're honest with yourself or you're totally lying to yourself, or you're honest with other people or you're totally lying to other people. I don't think pride really exists. I think it's just another mechanism of how we interact with other people. So, like, one example might be if I am an NBA level basketball player and I tell somebody I'm an NBA level basketball player, that's just straight up the truth. How much pride is there in that statement, right? I guess you could say that there is pride in the fact that I have I'm placing value on myself. But it's just straight up the truth.
Sure.
So if I say oh, I'm better than LeBron James, right? Then that's like a level of pride where it's like I'm believing in myself more than I should.
Here, what about...
As like a defense mechanism to boost myself up and further myself.
I have an example. Okay, so let's say you're sitting in this chair doing this podcast with me, but I'm the podcaster. And so I told you ahead of time that since I'm the podcaster, which is true, right? Or the host, at least, if you will, which is truth, that I should be talking more. Is that because I would because let's say I need to talk more because I'm going to be better at it. Like if I told you that, then we started.
That's where the lie is right there. Because how do you quantify how good somebody is at talking?
But if I believe that fully, what is that? I guess it's still a lie.
Then that's like ignorance, and you've been told a lie, and now you're just reflecting that lie on other people.
Who told me the lie? Probably myself.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like you've just never you've never been given a good estimate as to how good I am at debating or talking with other people or just conversations in general. And maybe you've talked with a lot of people and all of them have been far below your level. And so this next guy that I'm going to meet has got to be the same, right? And maybe it's just a prediction. But because you don't know for sure, you have to be it's another one of those things where you don't know the truth. So you can't act as if you know the truth, you know? Right. So you've told yourself a lie. And now you're just reflecting that lie onto other people. Right. So, or as the host, right? If you say I deserve to talk more because I'm the host, who cares about how good I am at talking? Then that's just
that's
Yeah,
just
you are
being
the
a bad
host.
host.
That's not necessarily pride, because it is your podcast and it is your decision, and that's just a bad decision on your part, I guess. Like,
Yeah, that would be a bad decision.
so I guess the pride that exists from there would be you believing that you talking more as the host would net you more views, even though that's up for debate, you know?
Sure.
So,
Can't prove that necessarily.
so the pride is just like when you think something is a specific way, and you've told yourself that it is that specific way, and then maybe you know that something is not a specific way, but you decide to push through with it in the chances that you'll get lucky, you know? Like if I say I'm better than LeBron James at basketball, maybe somebody will take my word for it and hire me for like, and contract me for like some big team, and I'll get millions of dollars, right? If I say, you know, who knows, right? Like
Yeah, sure,
it could
sure.
happen, you know?
Yeah.
So
I guess so, yeah.
So like, I mean, it's mostly just like a word that we put on
lies.
on people just lying to each other. Yeah.
I really like what you're saying right now.
Because we know our own truths about ourselves.
Let's
for the most part.
Let's use my dad as an example. Not to throw shade at him. I love him. Forgiven. I don't want to insult him. However, especially growing up, being a narcissistic man, like, what is narcissism? Ultimately, it's that you are the best, right? You believe that, which I would argue is a lie. A victim mentality, which often derives or comes after a narcissistic, person, I guess, has something to point at and blame. They will never blame themselves. And that's a lie that they have convinced themselves that it's not their fault.
Mm-hmm. He probably needed it as a defense mechanism, because something in his childhood made him believe that, like, if he didn't do that, he would actually be worth less, and everything would actually be his fault, and everything would actually happen to him. And that's just a result of his upbringing and the life that maybe he lived. But like, if you're a narcissist and everything revolves around you, it's because everything kind of does revolve around you, in the sense that all of your motivation and all of your fears and all of like everything that you care about,
the world that you perceive,
is like inherently antagonistic towards you. And so you feel like unless you go full throttle and deflect all the blame, and then take all of the goods for yourself, unless you do that, you're not actually going to get anywhere. So narcissists probably don't actually believe that they're the best. They probably are just putting themselves in the position of the best so that they can reap the rewards, even if they themselves don't necessarily believe it very much, So if I was like incredibly egotistical and I said like I'm literally the best basketball player in the world, it's either because I was never proven wrong and now I'm falsely deluded, or it's because me saying that makes me feel better, and that's a way to deflect those bad emotions, and it's a way to deflect all of the things that would otherwise kill my motivation.
Is pride the lie to yourself, or is pride the unwillingness to understand that it is a lie and then seek the truth?
I would say it's the unwillingness, because when you lie to yourself, sometimes it's out of necessity, but when you have pride in yourself, it's because you don't have the motivation to change it,
Do you think it's necessary sometimes to lie to yourself?
Sometimes. I think that if I didn't tell myself that I was super amazing at basketball, which I'm not, but like everything is just so subjective, where like maybe some kid actually really is good at basketball, but compared to Shaq when he was younger, no way, he's just a scrub, right?
Yeah.
So if he could compare himself on a universal scale, how good he is at basketball, right? And he knew all the truths, he might find out that he's not very good, and that would kill his motivation, right? So sometimes it's better to just believe like, hey, I'm pretty good at basketball, you know? Hey, I'm pretty good at it, you know?
Yeah, that like reinforcing with yourself some positive
Especially
feedback.
because sometimes you're never going to hit that wall for whatever talent you set yourself in. So like, it's not like I'm ever going to meet Shaq, right?
Yeah.
When am I ever going to play?
You might, dude. Who knows?
When am I ever going to play against Shaq on the court, right? So it's kind of...
Never say never. Do you think never saying never is wise, or do you think it's foolish?
I think it's wise. But, you know, I'm probably not going to meet Shaq on the court.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be so cool if I could meet Shaq on the court.
If I ever get him on this podcast, I'll invite you over and we'll go play basketball.
Would he even fit in the room?
Not, I'm sure he won't be on this podcast. Hopefully he'd be like later on.
Dude, have you seen Shaq like
holding like a normal? There's
the
videos
water
on
bottle.
YouTube of just Shaq
It's
holding
super
normal
popular.
size things.
Yeah,
It's so awesome. It's huge.
Yeah, and then he has like a suit line, and he's like, yeah, anybody can wear the suit. Even you can wear the suit. And then he's like, no, like I can't. And then he takes off his suit and gives it to the I forgot what show it was, but
Interviewer.
He gives it to the guy, and he's like, it's like all going all the way down here. And he's like, he looks like he's wearing his dad's clothes. It's so
Nice,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what it'd be like to be like Shaq, you know what I mean? Just like,
I mean, yeah, you're chilling. Like
overall
financially, you're
size.
just set, and you're just going around. You're the celebrity. You know, what do you?
I mean, just like his size, you know?
That too.
What would
Like
I be
I just saw a post on Instagram. It was some normal sized person. You know, little people. I don't know. Can I call them midgets? I don't know what like the proper way of calling them is, but I'm just gonna call them midgets because that's what I've always done. They I believe they're able to have kids and have, you know, like regular sized people, which is pretty funny. And then so I was seeing this Instagram post, and it was a guy who grew up with midget parents, right? And then he was showing how he does certain things at his house to make it feel more like home, where he doesn't have anything in the top cupboards and has everything in the bottom cupboards, stuff like that. Like to go find a cup, you know, to drink water, he would pull
like
out.
when he moved out?
Yeah, like he's living on his own now, and he still doesn't use the top cupboards, even though he's a fully grown man. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So it'd be just the opposite for Shaq. Imagine a Shaq now going into that house. He would have to bend over, squat for everything. Yeah. I don't know. Do you wish you were taller?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. If I could be taller, I would be taller, but I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna go to India and get like the leg extension surgery.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put it against my natural genes for how tall I am. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna cry if I stay my same height. Because I don't think I'll grow any taller. I just think it'd be neat if I was like 6'8" or something. You know,
Like Shaq size, just ginormous. I feel like like the beds, first of all, as soon as you hit 6 foot, beds are no longer as comfortable because all of a sudden you have to be throwing your feet off the side, which is totally chill. Then it exponentially gets more and more uncomfortable as you get taller, especially then showers. Imagine not being able to fit in a shower. Like you're just so far above I don't know, what do you call the shower head? The shower head?
I'm at a really comfortable height where I'm like, everything I sit in, go to, lay on, whatever. Everywhere I go, I'm like perfect size. I always get medium for all my clothes, everything. It's always medium. I fit everywhere, right? I'm never too small, never too big. But I'm also tall enough where I never really notice like, oh man, I wish I was taller. You know?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like I actually feel bad for people who like are super duper short and they want to be taller because it's not just like it'd be neat if I was taller. They're like, man, I wish I was taller. You know?
Right.
Because to me, it's like if I could grow a couple inches, hey, why not? That's pretty cool. But if I like if I was frozen here at this height for the rest of my life, which I might be, and I probably am, I'm okay with that, you know?
Yeah. I think Jeremiah, my twin brother, he's 2 or 3 inches taller than me, which makes a difference. You know, even just talking about certain things. I think I'm right at the cuff of when things would become uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So I fit in everything, but it's so close to being like, oh, this almost is bad. And then my twin brother sits down and he's like, I can't fit in this.
Yeah.
You know, or, I mean, chairs are never a problem. But just when it comes to comfort with mattresses, cars, showers.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Bending over to get stuff, I suppose.
Yeah. Dude, my mom will borrow my car, and when I get in, I'm like this, cause she always
has it way
to
up.
Raise the seat all the way up, put it way forward, and then like it's like the back is like forward as well, like, and then cause I'm a chronic sloucher, man, like.
Dude, I'm always correcting my posture.
Like
and still.
This is me.
For real. I agree.
This is like how I sit everywhere.
But at the edge of the chair,
just
neck cramped.
Like
yeah.
Like if I can just slouch, I like to slouch.
It's comfortable for some reason until it starts hurting.
It never hurts for me because I'm good at it.
No shot. What?
Slouching never hurts for me, unless I'm in like an uncomfortable chair.
You're a unique man.
I mostly, I'm a sloucher, you know? So yeah, I'll like put my chair all the way back and I'll like, just like.
What do you think about aliens?
Aliens. Let's see here.
As somebody who's not like firm set in a belief yet, you know, at least religiously speaking, if you ever will be, it's like, where are you at with aliens? What do you think about it? Because your perspective.
I think aliens would be so cool, but like, I don't believe in them. I don't think.
Really?
I don't think that they're necessarily connected to my life. Like important to me. Even
those are 2 big different statements.
Like,
I think.
Okay, I don't think they're real.
But if they were real, would they have to be super a part of your life?
No, if I don't think they're real.
Okay.
Even if like I'm not like 100% like they're not real, you know? It's just like a general feeling like I don't think they're real.
Sure.
And then even if they were real, within like the current world we live in, I don't think that it's ever gonna matter to me. So to me, I just don't care about aliens.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
Like unless the aliens like like a big ship comes
over your house,
you know, yeah. And then I get abducted or something. But you know, to me, like aliens are just another one of those like big what ifs, but just not as central to me as a person, you know.
Not even all the videos and everything like that. You think every single video is fake?
I think that so much of it is fake, or at least up for debate that it doesn't.
It doesn't matter. They can't prove it.
It's. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough, dude.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
It's been fun.
Do you want to? This has been Ethan Sedgwick. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah. So, turns out everything I said was a lie. I'm the best.
Clearly, dude.
And nobody's better than me. And I'll have 100 wives. And also at the same time, I'll become the next Hitler or something. I don't know. That's me.
That'd be awesome.
All right.
All right. Cut. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. If you want to support us, you can find us on Patreon. The link will be in the description. If you join the Patreon, you'll get each episode a week early, along with some maybe blooper reels, all sorts of fun stuff that we might end up cutting out of the regular episode.
Oh, yeah.
You'll also be supporting the team, me, Dylan, and John behind the camera. It's a little skeleton crew we got going.
Links in the down under.
In the land down under.
See, that's funny because that's Australia. Yeah, you guys can find us on any of the big podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, I guess. If that was a podcast platform, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.
God bless you all.
It was good.
That was good.
I like the little shitter about the YouTube thing.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
funny.
that's good. Ow, dude. Ow.